Let's take a look at the three different areas that are required both on a project basis and on a career basis for cinematographers to be successful. They are managerial, technical, and creative. We're going to go over technical and creative in the following modules. Here we're going to look at what I think is by far the most difficult to master, and that is the managerial side of things, right? When you're starting out as a cinematographer, you're working with smaller crews. You're probably doing lots of those jobs. Maybe you're directing as well or producing. This can be harder to see just how necessary it is to develop this muscle of becoming a good manager. Because really, cinematography, as you climb the ranks and the teams get bigger, you start to get more and more hands off. It becomes about how well you are able to delegate the tasks that are necessary in order to achieve the vision that you have in your head, and how that meets the director's vision and what the production company is after and what the producer after, right? Because really, cinematography is middle management on set. You have your first AC, your key grip, your gaffer. Those people are looking to you for guidance. You're responsible for their work. You're responsible for the way they conduct themselves on set. You hire them, which we'll talk about in a much later module. Really, you bring your team on, and you're responsible for looking after those individuals. And you have to report to the director, the producer, the production company, whoever it may be above you. So really, it's about finding your groove in that middle management, deciding what to filter up the chain and what to filter down the chain. Because not everyone on a film set has to know every single detail, right? It's about understanding, what does the gaffer need to know in order to be successful? What does a key grip need to know about this setup, about the story, about the goals that you're trying to achieve? Right? You don't have to go over every single thing. It's why there is a chain of command, because it becomes much more efficient that way. And the sooner that you can increase efficiency, or the better that you can increase efficiency on set, the better the results you're going to be, right? Because you're never going to have enough time. Doesn't matter what the budget is. You're never going to have enough of the tools. You're never going to have everything that you ask for. So this managerial side of things is really learning how to delegate what needs to get done, when it needs to happen, and how you do that, the attitude that you carry forth on set to make sure that the way that you want to run things, that's how it's actually getting done. And those are the results that you are getting. Is what you're expecting is what you're getting. So one of the biggest parts about the managerial side of things is getting your team on the same page, right? Getting everyone involved, and that's people above you, people below you. Everybody has to understand the vision that you are going for, because then they can bring their own unique talents to that vision, right? If you don't tell anybody anything, you get to set the morning of, and you start rifling off commands, it feels very micromanaged, right? And crews don't like that. Directors won't like how slow it goes, because people are coming back to you looking for guidance at every single step. You want to empower those around you, especially your key grip, your gaffer, your keys, your first AC. You want to give those people enough of an understanding of what you're going for that they can then use their skills, right? And then you can utilize and you can leverage their abilities to make you look better. You want to surround yourself with the best people possible, who are the best at their jobs, because they're going to bring you ideas that will elevate your work. And getting everyone on the same page is really, it sounds like, oh, of course, it's a simple thing to do, but it's not. Everyone is going to operate differently. Every key grip, every gaffer, every first AC, all of the people, all the DITs, they're all going to respond in their own way to motivation, to understanding what they need to know in order to get something done, how detailed they want to get. Much like every cinematographer and director relationship is different, every cinematographer and the keys relationship is different. You have to learn to navigate that and how you can get the most of them. Like, how much detail do you have to go into? If you're working with a new crew, do you have to go into really, really micro level detail about the lamp that you want and where you want it and how hard you want it and what stop you want it? Or can you be a little bit looser with crews that you worked with before? It's understanding this management side of things, because it really does, at the highest levels, as you move up and get further and further away from the camera, or further off the tools for setting up your own lights or setting up your own dolly track or whatever it is, you need to be able to inform people so that they feel empowered to do better. You don't want to be micromanaging people. You want to let them do their work and elevate your work. The other side of the managerial aspect is you need to, in the pre-production process, choose the right crew, choose the right people for the right job, right? Because not every key grip is going to be perfect for car spots. Not every key grip is going to be perfect for big, giant techno-y stuff. And it's going to be different. So you need to understand the people that are around you, their skills, how they can help improve your workflow, how they can help improve the final results. And maybe there's a director that likes to work extremely quickly, and you know that you've got a gaffer who can do beautiful, beautiful work, but it might take them slightly longer. Maybe they're more studio-based rather than location-based. So it's not only organizing things on the day, but it's organizing things in pre-production so that you can get on the right foot and get the people in the right place. And if you show up to a job and the gaffer and the key grip are butting heads, or you're working slower than the director's expected, and you can't go out there and start moving lights for the gaffer. I mean, I guess you could, but really you want someone who is on that same page as you, where you can sit down with them and say, listen, we're trying to move as quick as we can. This is a bit of a a docu-follow sort of thing. We're not going to have an hour to set up every single setup. We need to move quickly. We need to augment and make things look as great as we can. But the director just wants to shoot, shoot, shoot. So we need to be prepared for that. So as long as the gaffer is on that same page as you, and the key grip is there, and they understand these things, then they won't feel, number one, they're not going to feel bad about holding up the entire crew, waiting on you. But also, they're going to feel empowered to bring their own thing. Okay, I know I can't do this. I know I don't have long enough to do that. But what can you do? What can you bring to the project? And then from there, it's up to you to develop your communication skills in the pre-production process to ensure that that happens. Like if something doesn't work out, you have to analyze it and say, what didn't I explain early on to get the gaffer on the same page? What didn't I do that I could have done that would have made things quicker or better or more nuanced, right? If the results that you get from a project don't match the expectations that you had, well, now it's time to do some thinking about how you can alter your managerial side to become more efficient. And following on from that, you have to lead by example on set, right? You are the leader of the crew on set. You're the person that dictates how fast we go, how slow we go. People are looking to you for how you act on set, the mood, the tone that you set on set, how quickly you are. If you're frantic, other people are going to be frantic. If you're calm, other people will be calm. And you have to set the mood, and you have to lead by example. If you demand perfection out of the work that you do, that's going to infuse into the rest of the crew. That's going to that level of nuance and detail and expectations that will start to work its way down the ladder. And if that's what you want, that's a great thing. If that's not what you want, that's not a good thing, right? So you have to be very mindful of the way that you're acting on set, the attitude that you're bringing on set. If you show up and you're unorganized, how can you expect anyone else to be organized, right? You're at the top of the food chain. You should be setting the tone of this is the level of quality that we want from the production, right? If you're serious, others will follow. And then from that, if you back the gaffer or the key grip or the first AC and you bring these people on the project and you fully brief them and you get them up to speed and you understand what they need to know, you need to then back those people, right? You are their manager. The work that they do is a reflection of you. So you need to stay on top of them. You need to make sure they're doing a good job. If they're not doing a good job, you need to find out why and how you can rectify that. If there are steps that you can take now, or if there's steps you can take in the future in pre-production to say, okay, I know this person likes to do this, or they need this amount of crew, or they work best in this environment. So you need to take those things into account, but you always have to back. There should never be any infighting where you're getting mad at people on set because they're not doing their job. Right? That should be all worked out in pre-production, all by setting expectations. The sooner you can set expectations and the more exact you can be in your expectations, the happier the workflow is going to be on set. Now, this is something that I often talk about in the commercial world, is that as a cinematographer, you should be the calmest person on set, right? The director has got a lot to lose. The production company's got a lot to lose. The worst thing that happens for a director of photography is you get fired, right? I've never, ever heard of that happening on a job or seen it happen. I'm sure it has, but that's about as bad as it can get, right? So you need to be the calm person on set. And remember your number one priority, which is looking after the director, making sure what they want is getting on screen. You're that visual translator that is bringing those words or that treatment or whatever it is from the director. You're bringing that to screen. And you are the trusted advisor. You're the person often that the director will look to the most. So you have to manage that relationship as well, right? That's a management side of things. Is those above you that are expecting things from you, you need to understand what they are, understand their pain points, what they're looking for. Again, this comes through conversation with the director early on, comes through reviewing the treatment, getting in touch, reaching out, finding out expectations, looking at their past projects, so that you can then, when it comes to the management side of things, you can then, dictate what needs to get passed up the chain. What information does this director need to know? If there are changes to the schedule, if there's changes to the equipment, if there's changes to the lenses, is that the kind of stuff that I need to filter? What passes up and what passes down? Because that's another huge aspect of the management side of things. You don't have time to explain to every single person on set why you're doing something, right? If a location was chosen 3 weeks ago that doesn't work for the key grip of the gaffer, there's probably a reason. It's probably because the client didn't want this, or the director had to fight really hard and they didn't get the thing that they wanted, and now there's a little bit of tension there. So the last thing you want on the day is the gaffer, the key grip, not being happy with a place and not knowing why. So you need to filter what information does everyone need to know in order to get the job done. They don't need to know every single piece of the pie, but they do need information, right? They do need, and only you have that ability because you're involved in those conversations between two different groups, right? You are the translator between the technical side of things and the creative side of things and the story side of things. So you need to take that information and go, okay, what does my key grip need to know for this very next scene? Or what do they need to know for the next day? That could be a gotcha. It could be, well, the ground is really uneven. They haven't been to the tech scout, or we didn't have a tech scout. So they need to know that the ground is uneven. They're going to need more packers. They're going to need more apple boxes, whatever it is. You are the person that decides, okay, I need to let these people know in advance so that they can bring their skills to the table. So the key takeaway from this section is that as middle management, right, you have lots of people to be thinking about for every single decision that happens on set, and you need to quickly filter through the relevant information to find out which information goes where. That works for on set, it works for in pre-production. You need to know, who do I need to talk to about these things? Who do I need to report to? Who do I need to ask about if I need lenses, if I need more people, if I need to discuss format? Who do I go to? Where do I go to? And how do I manage those conversations? It's a relationship business. How do you manage the relationships of those around you, with the people above you, with the people below you? How do you make it work so that ultimately the vision that you've created in your head for a specific project gets translated to the screen? And really, that is the main challenge, is staying true to what the director is after and managing expectations and saying, this is what we can do, this is what we're going to do, and then executing that plan, right? It's coming up with a plan through your talks with those directors, producers, production companies, talking with your keys during the tech scout to figure out, okay, this is what we can get away with the gear that we have at our disposal. If we don't have the necessary gear, how do you manage that relationship with those above you to go, listen, what we promised or what I said we could get away with the gear that we had, in conversation with the keys, we've decided that's not going to be possible with the time constraints, so that's not going to be possible because of some external factor. And now you need to make sure that you have something in your head, some backup plan, because you want to always be offering solutions, right? You want to solve problems. You don't want to create problems. And the better you get at the management side of things, and the better you get at understanding what information needs to be passed on and when it has to be passed on, like, again, the director doesn't need to know that we're low on batteries. You don't even know. You don't even need to know that we are low on batteries, right? That's the first AC, that's the camera department. They take care of it. If there's an issue, it should trickle up. And that passing of information comes down to how you interact with your keys on set and how you interact with the production. You need to set that tone. You need to lead by example. You need to bring the professionalism to set. The more you do that, the more the people around you are going to be inspired to follow. And they're going to say, wow, Patrick, or wow, so-and-so came to a set really, really prepared, came to the tech scout with all of the ideas, the same thing that you're going to be looking for from a director, all of that information. You just want answers so that you can better perform your job. Well, that's what the keys are looking for. That's also what production is looking for. The more concrete you can be with your answers and managing problems as they arise, the quicker you can get on top of them, the quicker you can filter out information, and the quicker you can be at communicating, the chances are higher that those problems are going to get solved. And the keys are expecting the same thing from you, right? They may not have all the gear necessary. They may need a little bit of lead time to go out and search and find gear that is going to elevate the project. So give them as much as they can. And this really is a skill that we can talk about it here and we can go back and forth, but you only get better by doing it, experimenting, taking notes, seeing what works, what doesn't work, and then changing it from job to job. So setting expectations, trying to reach the goals laid out by a project, by a director. And if it doesn't work, even if it does work, going back and saying, what could I have done to make this easier, right? Because like we said in the beginning, you're never going to have enough time. Doesn't matter what the budget of the project is. There's never going to be enough time. So you need to understand the flow, both in pre-production and on set, to get the best results that you can possibly get. In the end, in commercial cinematography, you're only as good as your team, right? The more you can give them to perform better, the better the results are going to be, the more reward you're going to see.